thank you everyone for coming. I'm Stephen Lee. Those who know me, hello. Those who don't, tough luck. Yeah, I want to thank Zontiga, Mr. Lau, and hi, and Faisal and Liana of PBC KL. It used to be PBC Johor. For actually doing this, because this is very important for all photographers, especially the younger ones starting off, because without these guys, you will not have the opportunity to look at other books because there's no outlet. You might know somebody who's done something, and then and most of the time the books are on the shelf at home or lost. So it's very good to actually have some collaboration or some group that are interested in photo books to actually show it, because books are to be shown, right? It means not to be sitting on the shelf. So the library here is excellent. I want to congratulate you. Because make use of it as a community, a photo community, because it's so much resource here. Of course, buy them as well. I know, yeah. So today I'm going to talk about. Thank you for inviting me to share as well. Because thanks, Stacey, for.
Thank you for coming, Stephen.
Yeah. Okay. So before I start, I just want to. I have a quiz, right? I have a pub quiz, just for fun. Just to break the ice. It's a questionnaire of 12 questions. General photography, what do you call it? Trivia. Good, thank you. At least somebody is awake. And the person that has the highest score is out of 12. So 12 if you have 12. We'll get a copy of my Lumina book, which is freshly printed by Blurb, which cost a bomb. So what we'll do is I'll distribute these out now to each of you. I mean, try not to bincang lah, otherwise what's the point, right? It's only for fun, and don't Google lah, please. So then after maybe about an hour's time, we collect them. And the teacher there will mark. And just put your name at the top, okay? So it's just for fun. Okay. Not you.
No, I can distribute.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think there's 20 here, so I don't think there's 20.
Thank you.
So do you all know each other? More or less? More or less. If you don't know it, it's multiple choice, so you can guess. You have a 1 in 4 chance of getting it right. Everyone has one? Staff cannot enter, okay? Staff cannot take part, okay? Okay, so I want to talk about photography and what it says, the relevance of photo books. So I've done actually more on this, because the other ones are like wedding books and travel books, but these are my personal projects. So I want to talk about well, more or less touch on all of them. So let me see. What is photography everything I'm going to say today, you can take as a pinch of salt, because this is only what my experience is. So another photographer, another photo book maker will have a different point of view. Eiffel will have a different point of view, because it all depends on different circumstances. So photography is an obsession for me. I started very young in school days. I guess you're all the same, like that's why you're here, right? It's just that the camera that makes this sort of magic chemical thing, it's like amazing. And now it's digital, so basically we are seeing what we see and then trying recording for future or to archive. So that's what it is, photography. It's a compulsion as well. I'm sure a lot of you, every day you can't do without, you know, playing with your camera or flipping on Instagram and looking at certain sites, trying to, you know, build up your visual vocabulary in your brain. It's like a data bank, right? So basically, yeah, it's a compulsion. Hi, Bench. And for me, it's also a necessity to, I guess it depends on who you are. For me, you know, I just need to take photos or look at photos all the time. It's just a way of, you know, some people read, but I don't read too much. But yeah, some people just look at photos. And it's also an escape. I'm sure that a lot of you can relate to this, right? I mean, photography is an escape. Sometimes you just want to drive away and just go somewhere and just take photos, or just immerse yourself in a new book, or just lock yourself away. But now everyone's like flipping. So it's also an escape, you know. And I think the last one is a challenge for me as well. So I think this is very important because you need to push yourselves as creatives. Basically, you're creatives, right? You need to push yourself. Don't be content with what you've done, and don't shoot for other people. Shoot for yourselves. You always now, you know, everyone goes for photo walks, and why? You know, you've walked to death the streets already. You know, so do new things. Do new things. This is my formula for making photo books. I'm just going to touch on them briefly. There's an A to B formula, which I've done for this book and Lumina. And then there's the B to C version, which is for the other two books. So let me elaborate. A to B for me is when you've taken lots and lots of pictures and you don't know what to do with it. And then you start thinking of an idea of, yeah, I can do a book with this because I've got hundreds and hundreds of pictures. And then you start picking out and see, you know, whether you put it together, like what I was telling Chun just now. He's got loads of pictures. He doesn't know what to do with it. So with my book, also looking in, I did this. I'll run through it later. The other one is B to C. So B to C means from book to capture. Like, okay, you got an idea for a book, then you go and shoot it. I think a lot of people will have that, will do that, will follow that style rather than the first one. But sometimes it works, you know, depends on what you have, how much you've shot. So for example, like the Malaysian's book, you know, I had an idea of my colleague Haliza, and said, okay, let's do a book on Malaysia, because I'll talk about it later, why. And so we created a proposal, and we went around for sponsorship. So this is just like, you know, you show people, oh, look, this is my idea, concept, and then we created this book. So then we went to shoot, and then we created this book. These ones, I've been, you know, I don't live here, I live in the UK. So over the late 90s, I've been coming back almost every year. And my grandfather used to work in Batang Street, Pasar, what do you call it, Medan Pasar there. So he used to walk all those streets, everyone knows him. And so I thought, oh, I'll just check out this area. So I've been coming back, you know, like doing photo walks by myself in those days. And shooting all the street, Chinatown, sort of Lebo, Ampang, or no, what's the other road? I can't remember the name now. Lebo Ampang? Lebo, yeah, all that area around there. So I got lots and lots of pictures, and shooting them with film. So I've got stacks and stacks of negatives, which I hand processed them in my bathtub long time ago. And then I thought, what am I going to do with this? Right? So the year 2000 was approaching, and I thought, oh, it would be a nice little time of the history of Malaysia to produce a book called Outside Looking In, because I'm from outside looking back in. So the concept started there, and then I picked up the pictures. And I worked with a poet who helped me put the works together and the words together as well with the pictures. So this is all scanned by myself. It's a long time ago, so there are no, like, you know, it's not digital at all. I mean, these are all film scans, and then put together. And then I found this dummy book recently where I printed them and then made the sequence. And then I printed them on A4. And then this is the book. So you can take a look later. So there are just two methods, basically. Any questions so far? Or comments or?
How long was the work? I mean, as in, how long had you been shooting before you decided?
For this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had the dates here, sorry. In a while, I can't touch that on it. So, before you even think about doing a book, these are the sort of basic elements you need to think about, because it's not so easy. I mean, as those of you who've done books will know, the format, what landscape, portrait, size, you've got to determine that. The layout, who is going to do your layout, right? It's very important to have a decent layout. A lot of people start off and do their own, which is fine, and then, but you need maybe a friend's help or a designer to, look at the text and the fonts and how it spreads as well. Sometimes you have double pages, so you got to think about all that sort of thing. Yeah, I put designer or DIY. Depends on your cost, your investment to it. Selection. So who's going to select your pictures? Are you going to have somebody help you, or you do your own editing? And then later on the sequencing, then the rhythm of the book. Otherwise it'd be like all very boring, right? If you have similar pictures, so you need what's the word? Like chapters, and then like you have ups and downs and all that sort of stuff. Who's going to write your intro? Are you going to have an intro or forward? Again, it's also important because it depends on your market as well. Who you're going to sell to. The person who's writing your forward may be influential, or a critic, or a gallery person, or nobody. It doesn't matter, right? And then acknowledgements. Who are you going to thank for your production, your sponsors, and then finally, if you want to catalog your book with the ISBN number. I'm not sure if in Malaysia there is, right? This is a cataloging system. So you got to think about all that before you do a final print. Because once you've done the print, you can't say, "Oh, suddenly shit, I forgot that I have to catalog it." So you put stickers and then how are you going to fund it? Because that's where a lot of people fall down, because they have this bright idea of a book. You've got brilliant designers and everything, but how are you going to fund it? So I just put some pointers here. Maybe crowdfunding, which is very popular, especially if you're a well-known photographer, and you make a video on Kickstarter or something, and then your book is so socially important for a certain cause or something. Then you got a big group of friends that can support you, or your photo community. Then people will donate, $10, $20, or whatever your target is, and that works because you do pre-sales as well. So you promise people, like, if you pay, if you donate $50, you get 2 books or a print with a book, or so So a lot of these novel ways that you can do. In the old days, it's like, you're going around like banks and institutions and say, please, can you help me? I need 50,000 or whatever. And I think those days are probably past because companies have no money now, or like cash. I mean, some still do, but then you need to have a good contacts and pull strings and stuff like that. Or you can self-publish like I do because I don't have all these contacts. So self-publish is also a big thing. I mean, in the UK, in the Europe, there's this what do you call it? Company, a group of people called Self-Publish Be Happy. So they have this book telling you how to do it. You got to buy the book. But they're very good because they represent you, and then they take you to book fairs, and then people will see your books, and then it just goes on and on. Because I print these on blurb.com. I don't know if you know about Blurb. It's like the first print-on-demand website, web-based. I'm sure like here they have like similar photo book, yeah, something like that. But it's expensive because you can print 5, 10, maybe just for friends or family, but it's not viable for book sales. So and also you can't really mark it up too much, so you're not going to make any money from these things. Print run, so that comes back to the cost of everything. So usually publishers will, established publishers would say, okay, I'll publish your book, but you have to pay us like $20,000, $30,000 now, right? I know no photographers have done it, but they're like good photographers, and then they will get the production done, and they will help distribute your book, market it, and then they obviously take a big cut as well, right? So you have to put in the money to make it, but then you get their name, like like the imprint published by such and such a company, because there's no one's gonna no one's gonna do it for you for free. So you still have to put in some of your own money. How do you get rid of this? Yeah, and then promotion, if it's a publisher, they will help promote and distribute it. That's very difficult because if you have 200 or 300 books at home, what are you going to do with it? Where are you going to store it? You got to think about all these things. Some publishers have warehouses, so you just take what you need, and but then you still have to pay for storage and all that sort of stuff. So it's not an easy thing. Yeah, and then think about book clubs, book fairs. There's a lot of book fairs. Maybe in Asia there isn't that many.
Singapore, Taiwan, and Hong Kong.
Japan is a big one,
Yeah.
the Tokyo
Taiwan
one.
is getting bigger as well.
So yeah, there are photo book fairs, especially on photo books. Some of them are massive. Like the one in Tokyo I've been to is like huge building of 3 or 4 floors. All these little small publishers, selling the books. So that's one way of doing it as well. And then you have to self-promote your, like Facebook, Instagram, all that sort of stuff. It's basically a lot of work. And then also my last point is dummy awards. There are around the world. It's like a contest lah. So you submit your dummy book in this form, like mock. They call it dummy, but I don't know why. It's a mock book, and then they'll judge it, and if you win, they will pay for the publication and help you promote it. And I know some friends that have successfully done that. Those Mayumi Suzuki, she's done. I think she got a book here, right? Did I? Yeah.
Yeah, you brought some over.
Yeah, I mean, Japanese are great at producing hand-produced books. So yeah, it works. Depends on how you want to do it. Right. Any questions so far? Okay. So my question to you now is, why do you want to make a photo book? Just shout out any response.
mentioned, because like what you say, keeping it to yourself doesn't bring any benefits to anyone but yourself.
But you can share on Instagram.
Yeah, but like, it's just a tab of,
Okay, yeah.
yeah, it doesn't really signify anything. Like
Yeah,
everything is going so fast now.
yeah, exactly.
Having a physical book is just sort of,
Yeah,
I don't know, you can make it like a, what's it, coffee table books.
yeah.
You put it at home, people come and you can, spark out a conversation.
But you've done zines, right? So that's quite
yeah.
good. Zines is another way of producing. It's low cost, no hassle. You just print. It's not that expensive to do.
Yeah.
Easy to. But then it doesn't last, like
Doesn't.
it's like newspaper. Right?
So the key is to fund more money to print another book.
Yeah. So you
But I
can-
guess like printing a book has different kind of purposes. It could be a conversation starter. It could be, group of people sharing same hobbies. Depends on how you see it.
Is this which one is you?
First one.
Okay, I think both.
I think
both.
both.
We all want to show a bit of our work, and it's also our self-expression.
Yeah.
We have let me just talk about. And also, do you want to produce a book, or do you need to produce a book? So don't make a book because you simply want to, but you need to. Need only arise when you have an idea. So when you want to do something, we all can do a photo book, but what is it that you want to talk about, right? So you can have an exhibition rather than a book, but the exhibition only lasts as long as the exhibition is on, right? A book you can take home, you can read it in the bath or in the shower if it's waterproof, or on the bus or whatever, So and also it's your time. You can look at one picture, stare at it, read it, and then flip, or you can just flip from back to front or whatever. So it's a different way of sharing. Again, it's sharing, right? And the relevance. So is it still relevant? So I answer like, is photo book still relevant today? Yeah, I think so. As long as there are stories to tell, which we all have stories to tell. Whether it's good stories or not, it's up to you. But it is relevant. So I'm just going to talk very briefly on my books. So this book is. Oh, I need to flip. No, I don't have to flip. You can share this around. The reason why I made this book, as I said earlier, was because I had loads and loads of negatives of KL, which I decided to shoot in black and white in those days because I can process them. It's cheaper, and those days, the sort of film loading and that sort of thing, So it also was approaching 2000, so I thought we'll put it together. I've been shooting stuff from '95, so I had loads of albums of negatives, So going through them and putting it together. So that is that. And then for Malaysians, this one. This was done in 2000. Yeah, started off in 2005, but published in 2007. The reason was at the time, I don't know if you guys remember, like there was a lot of news in the press about Bangsa Malaysia. What is Bangsa Malaysia? The media have their own point of view. Politicians have their own say. What is Bangsa Malaysia? So this is my version of Bangsa Malaysia. I just want to counter all those points now, like we are multicultural. So basically this book is 500 pages, but it's only A5, so otherwise the cost would be too high. And it's just capture faces of people from East and West, which actually 500 doesn't do justice, right? I mean, there's millions of us. But everyone's unique, but that's the best I can do. So I try to go as far as possible, as wide as possible, and capture, different ethnicities. And unfortunately, couldn't go trekking into the jungle for the Sonoys, but that takes too much time. So you can share that as well. So this is the proposal, and then we can have a look at that. So that is the reason why. Museo is more of my personal expression because, again, I live in UK and I've been very keen to go and visit museums because they're free. So again, I've shot a lot of stuff since '99, and then I did a workshop. Workshops are very important. I did a workshop with a photographer called Ralph Gibson. I don't know if you know him. He's an American photographer, Leica user, and he said that the only thing I remember from his workshop was, and he wasn't very good at teaching workshops. He was just talking about his own works. You know, he wasn't saying like do this, do this. He's just showing us his own work, which is I think is great because then you think, oh, I paid so much money. Why? You know, I didn't learn anything, but actually I did because I took away one phrase that he says when you go out to shoot. You know, you always have to have a point of departure. So if you go out to shoot, like, just take your camera and start walking and shooting everything that interests you, when you come back, you won't get anything. But if you say, okay, today I'm going to go out and shoot red doorknobs, for example, and you just look out for red doorknobs, then you come back with a higher hit rate. So that's your point of departure. Like, before you go, you decide what you want to shoot, and that helps me a lot. So, and also the other thing is, he said that if you want to be a good photographer, I mean, you got to be shooting everything. Don't restrict or limit yourself, especially when you're young, to I only shoot street. No, everything else is crap. Or I just shoot studio work. You know, I don't want to go and shoot street. Or shoot with big cameras or color film. Experiment everything. Don't hold back because it's a creative art, right? So why do you want to like restrict yourself in a little corner in this huge world of creativity? You might even say, I don't want to do photography, I want to be a painter at the end of the day. So don't restrict yourself. And he said, like, if you want to be a good photographer, shoot everything. And the most important thing is, if you can master architecture, basically it's light really, and nudes. If you shoot these two subjects well, you understand how light works. Which is true because nudes is not just like flash or whatever. It's all about texture and light. So that's how I started Museo. All these were shot on film with one lens. It's with one 50mm lens. And they're just studies of museum artifacts, some architecture, and some travel stuff. And then I just put that together and call it Museum. You can all take a look at this. Lumina is my last book, sadly. I haven't done anything recently. And this book the images started in 2009 and then published in 2011. And this is color. So I've been shooting black and white all the time, film, self-processing. And suddenly I thought, well, screw it, I'm just going to try color. And it worked quite well because it was very difficult actually, when you transition from black and white to color. You see things differently. So Lumina is about color, light and color. And again, this was put together not purposely because I've already had these pictures. So then I just collected from what I have and put it together. So take a look, anyone? Do we have a break now? So, I'm going to show you what I'm planning, but should we have a break now? Do you think? Is it a good time?
Yeah, if you'd like to have a break in between it, everyone
you take 5 minutes to do your questionnaire, and then if you do it on your own, it's better. So any questions, I can try and help you answer. Toilet break or whatever. No questions? Comments?
For the Malaysians book,
Yeah.
you mentioned you had a book idea and then you went out to capture the photos.
Yeah.
But you had a proposal before that, so
Yeah, because-
obviously you've been already interested in the subject.
No, the proposal was done to try and get funding. So I need to show a mock or some idea of what I want to do. So that's what you bring to sit around with, the bankers and the insurance companies, whatever. So yeah, so you have to have that done in advance now. I mean, the pictures I probably just grabbed from some stuff that I've shot, put it together, and just trying to show them the layout and how I wanted it to appear. How many of you are like doing photo books now? One? Or planning to? Yeah, Evan, you got one, right? Yeah.
Stephen, what does it mean by sequence?
Sequencing. Okay, so you have like 50 pictures that you've taken, and your book only requires 10, for example. So you need to get rid of 40, right? So you put them out on the table and say, which one is
Yeah.
my best? Not even my best. It doesn't have to be the best, but the way it works is, you just have to have. Okay, so you pick your, say for example, you pick your 10 already. Where do you start? Is it chronological, or is it by moods, or it depends on your topic.
Right.
If it's obviously chronological, then you can't do much like it. It's like, okay, this is somebody's young and then they're growing old, but not necessarily, because you could show the old guy first, right, and then say, oh, this is where he was born. So that's sequencing. Right? So you see, even do somebody's life history.
Yeah.
So you don't normally start with a photo of a baby, and then teenage, and then adulthood, and then. So you could just twist it and say, okay, the first page you want to show the really old face of this person, and then second page, oh, when he was born as a baby, and then as he growing up, and he went to school, and then that's the sort of sequencing. But then for a rhythm, you would say, okay, you don't do that, but then that's kind of boring. That it's like flowing, right? So rhythm is you break up the whole sequence and you say, okay, say for example, the old face, first page, and then the child, and then third one is maybe he's middle aged and he had an accident.
Right.
So you break up that rhythm, and then he got well, and then then he had family, got married, and had family, had his own children. So that's how it's just a very, very loose example.
Will you typically have, like, against yourself, 2 to 3 sequence as opposed to just one sequence?
Well, the book is only once. I mean, you have to fix it up, right?
Right.
So it's just one sequence.
One sequence.
Yeah. Anybody want to add to it?
Look at the slide, so the process when you actually produce the photo.
These ones?
Okay.
Yeah, so everyone has different styles of doing things. So like, there's this very famous Japanese photographer, Rinko Kawauchi. She's a woman. So her work is very subtle, all about moods and emotions. And she's taken lots and lots of photos, like throughout her life where she travels, and so without thinking of, oh, I'm going to do a photo book. So she has all these little Polaroids or whatever. And then after a while, she said, okay, I decided to do a photo book. So she lays out all her photos on the floor, and then she just go walk around. Okay, I like this color. Okay, blue. Collect all the blue ones, and put them together, and then just see. Okay, will it work? Or different styles. And she has this like depository of images.
Yeah, so that's the A and B accumulate and then.
Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, and her work is amazing. She's very, very famous. And she doesn't really need to take any more photos. Like she just walks around, like different sequence, or call it something else. And, so, has everyone finished their questionnaire?
Who would like to submit their?
Yeah, hand it to Stacy, and then she'll mark it. Don't forget your name, okay?
Yeah, you guys get your name on it, right?
It's okay. Save it for the next one.
Let's go next one.
This one's yours.
Let's go next one. You don't want? Eat chicken down.
So I'm just gonna okay, but yeah.
I know you can either answer the whole thing or
Huh?
I might answer the whole thing or I might just go through
Doesn't matter. It's okay.
let others start.
But you know all of it. Okay, good.
Okay, set it. No one else wants to start it?
Any questions? I mean, before I. What time do I finish? 3, right? So okay, so. Going back, like anyone wants to comment anything or ask me anything? Yes,
I
Calvin?
don't know whether it's a legit question. How
Yeah.
do you usually price your photo book or books? Do you price by the number of pages or like you give like aesthetic values to it and price it
Well,
that way?
I think it depends on the cost of producing it, because like these blur books are very expensive to print, so I can't price it lower than that. Otherwise, what's the point, right? Unless I just want to give it away,
Yeah.
which I am now. but yeah, just see what other people are doing.
Just look at the market
Yeah.
in general and see yourself.
Yeah,
like-
be realistic as well, because you don't want to like overprice yourself. I mean, look at photo books, like average ones, even from good photographers, they'll be going for $30, $40. I mean, for me, I'd consider those expensive. But then you have collector's items, which would be like $100, $200, and they're limited edition. I mean, the other thing I need to talk about is photo books as an object, right? So now it's like the trend, right? You make a photo book not just like to view it, but to collect it. And it's like so rare, it becomes so rare that it's got a value, it's got more intrinsic value than the cost of the book. So people trade in them. Some of the I mean, Alvin would know because he's into photo books, right? Some of the Japanese photo books, some of the American ones, the mint edition will cost you, I don't know, hundreds of pounds, hundreds of dollars. But we're not really talking about that sort of thing, like, because we're all starting off, trying to put our works together, and just create something that you can share as a book in book form. I mean, out there you see a lot of later on sharing. There's a few photographers here that have done little books from on their own and through the Exposure Plus mentorship that we did last few years back. And yeah, that's how you start, I guess. Any more questions?
Well, this is probably going to require a long answer, but like, what is your editing process like?
Editing, ayo. I know the thing is, as we were talking just now, right? When you shoot pictures, you like everything because you've sweat and toiled and walked and got wet and whatever, and you shot that picture. But in a book, there's only a limited number of pages, and if you have, I don't know, several hundred photos, you can't put all of them in there because it's not an archive, it's not a collection of your own, best of. It's actually a statement. So you have to be really brutal. So I would say choose your best ones and then chuck them out. No. And then get somebody else to look at it. That's very important. Somebody a bit more experienced or a layout designer, because designers also are very good because they've done a lot of layouts and they know the rhythm and the sequence for impact. But it's very difficult, You love something and they say, oh, they didn't even look at it, right? So what about this one? But if you like it, you like it. Well, you can't do anything about it. Yeah, that's one of the sort of stumbling blocks, I would say. But you have control at the end of the day.
Well, adding on to that question, how has your editing process changed from the first book to the current, especially since the last book is in German?
Yeah, the first book is this. I worked with Isim, who's a poet. So we obviously didn't want repetitive works, images. So we wanted a wider view of KL. So and then also she has to think about the poem or the poetry that goes with it. So it can't be very similar in content. So that was a lot easier then because there was a reason for each photo. Let's put it that way. Because my photos, if you look at it, it's a lot deeper than what it is. There are like several stories going on behind the story, the image. But and I think this is timely now as well because KL has changed a lot, especially in Petaling Street and all that stuff. And I'd love to know if you know these guys. This was taken in probably around 2000 as kids, so they must be in their, say they were like 5, 20, they must be in their 30s now, 30s, right? So it'll be interesting if you know any of these kids. Yeah. Editing is, it depends on how you do it as well. I mean, some people are very good at editing. Okay, so Margaret, you finished with it. So just want to say that my Lumina was 2011, so I haven't been concentrating on books for a long time. I think I just lost interest because I was doing other things. I was doing KLPA and I was like doing portfolio reviews, attending festivals. So you just can't get focused. So what next? So this is my next cover. This is still dreaming about this. It's called Commonscapes. So when I was living in London, I had a dog, and we used to walk. I used to walk him in this common. A common is like a piece of land that is dedicated to the residents as public space. So it could be a forest or just a little piece of lake or whatever. So there are a lot of commons around. I'm not sure what the equivalent is here. I'm not sure. Basically, you can't build on it. It's historically zoned as a green space. So this is Wimbledon Common, and so I've got a lot of photos of this. This picture is actually ice. it's a pond that's been frozen in the winter, and then it's so clear, the water, but there are bubbles bubbling up from underneath from the decay or whatever, and it gets frozen in the layer of ice. So I thought it was a beautiful picture. So basically this is about the common. I walked in this place many times at different times of the year. So as you can imagine, this is like coming up to spring, I think. And then this is like early spring, winter. These are like little plants that are this small, and these are like frosts going off it. And then this is the lake, the pond that's frozen. It's not very clear. And that's about it, really, I think. So I haven't put this together yet. I've got quite a lot of pictures of this. So it'd be interesting to know, to share my editing process for this later on. I don't know when I'm going to do it. So again, I have to go through that list, whether I can afford it, what size to do, and you know, the layout. Probably just an A4 size. So that's it, really. Thank you very much. Final questions, anyone? Before we announce, yeah.
Also, when you try to estimate your print runs, do you take into consideration things like potential market size or potential readership?
No, how much you can afford? Because my book's not going to sell hundreds, right? You know that. So, but then printers, they'll say, oh, we can only do it minimum 500 copies, right? Say 500 copies is, I don't know, 20,000 ringgit, for example. Then you say, okay, 1,000 copies, it's only another $1,000. So it's only like 21 or 22,000. So you think, do I need another 500 copies for another 2,000 ringgit? So, because printing is crazy, right? The way it is. So yeah, it's something that you need to know where you can store it, right? Who's going to buy it? So that's something. Yeah, distribution. Because in the old days, like this book was distributed by MPH, but they take 60%. So like they were selling for like 100, I think 100 ringgit, 120, which is quite a lot for at that time. So they take 70 ringgit or whatever it is. Plus I have to pay the distributor. So each book I only get like 30 ringgit. So it's not really you're not going to get rich out of making photo books. Unless you're Alex Webb or one of these. So yeah, that's the other thing to think about. Yeah. Okay, so do we have the score?
Yes.
Okay, are there any ties?
No.
No ties?
No ties.
No winners?
There is one winner.
12 marks? 12 points?
No one got full marks. There's one maybe slightly questionable question, but
Okay, let's
I mean, regardless of that, there's only one winner.
What do you mean by questionable question?
I'm not sure about the Minolta one.
No, it's not. It's the Polaroid.
I know. Everyone says Minolta.
Oh, it's Polaroid.
But it's okay.
Well,
It's okay.
you can Google it now.
Even if it is actually Minolta.
Oh, is it?
There's no tie at all, so there's only one winner.
What is Minolta? Polaroid?
Yeah, I mean, it could be Polaroid. Yeah, it's okay. I always thought it's Minolta
No,
who did the
I-
first
I-
autofocus.
Probably because Polaroid started and failed.
Oh,
So
okay.
Polaroid did the sort of prototype.
Polaroid Bangkok and then Minolta started. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's like really technical.
Polaroid isn't autofocus, it's like a sonar.
Yeah, they use sonar. It's like a huge thing that's.
Sonar focus, it's not autofocus.
Yeah, that's why I thought it's Minolta who started. But anyway, it doesn't matter because it wouldn't have made
Okay, so
anyone else
this is the top
Yes.
one. Okay, so the top one is nine correct answers, and that goes to Alvin. Thank you. Margaret, you got 5. Who's Robert? Oh, we got 4. Aaron, you got 7. Wow. Amirul, you got 6. Amelia, you got 7. Nida, you got 3. Kelvin, you got 4. And no more. Thank you, everyone.